Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Season 3 of Titan Alumni Talks, a weekly podcast where we talk to alumni about their experiences at Cal State Fullerton. This week, we talked to Nicholas Cabeza, who graduated from CSUF in 2018 with a BA in Public Admin and a minor in Human Services. He is also receiving his Master's of Public Admin in Local Government Management from USC. He currently serves as a CSUF Alumni Association board member, and he's a field rep for Assemblymember Patrick O'Donnell. You can catch all future episodes on titanradio.com on Saturdays at 6 p.m. or on our YouTube channel at youtube.com/CSUF alumni. Thank you, Nicholas, for joining us today on the podcast.
Awesome. Thank you for having me. I'm glad to be here.
So you do currently two things. So one, you're a board member for the Alumni Engagement Office, and you oversee communications and marketing. And the other, you're a field rep for Assemblymember Patrick O'Donnell.
So I could go into kind of both those aspects of what I do. So currently I work for Assemblymember Patrick O'Donnell. So he represents Long Beach, San Pedro, Signal Hill, and Catalina Island in the state assembly. And my role as a field representative is really to be the eyes and ears of the community. So what that means is I often, represent the assembly member at events. And this can be, at school board meetings, city council meetings. I oversee a lot of policy issues and conduct a lot of research related to those policy issues. I staff the assembly member at different, meetings, whether or not, constituents want to meet with him regarding supporting or opposing a specific bill. Right now, the nature of my work has changed, because of COVID. So we're not able to do a lot of those personal one-on-one interactions, but we are still doing a lot of, providing resources to, those most vulnerable in our community. So that has been, a huge priority for the assembly member. And in our office is to provide, constituents with different resources, whether that's EDD on the state level or, different services and resources on the local level. So that's kind of my role as a field representative with the assembly member. And then in my other capacity, I actually serve on the Alumni Association Board of Directors. So I just finished my first year, and that was a great experience. My first year, was all about, learning how the board operates and how it functions. But now in my current capacity as who oversees communications and marketing, I'm able to get, be more engaged. And we actually started this really cool voter education series designed to educate, Cal State Fullerton students and the Titan community about different aspects related to voting. So we actually just wrapped up yesterday, a session with the Orange County Registrar's Office around, the importance of voting and addressing any misconceptions around voting. So that was really cool. We do plan on hosting some other voting and engagement opportunities, including a session on, propositions in a, bipartisan manner and trying to figure out what those mean, especially for college students, as well as another Instagram live session, and that will be held on the 23rd, October 23rd from 6:30 to 7. And that's around pluralism and trying to, how to compromise with those, who have different opinions. So that's going to be a really cool session as well. So I've really enjoyed my experience on the board, and I loved my experience at Cal State Fullerton, and I'm excited to discuss this more.
Mm-hmm. Especially in such a polarizing time, it's really nice having people try and break it down in a nonpartisan way, so we get the factual information without being bogged down. I know after the debate, every side is trying to overanalyze every single movement that any candidate does. So it's nice seeing bipartisan analysis of what is going on and how do we better prepare ourselves for the voting season. Let's see. So let's start off with your role as a board member. As a board member, you graduated in 2018, and then you started on a board member in 2019. So what made you come back to Cal State Fullerton and decide to volunteer so quickly and give back to the community?
Yeah, so I decided to volunteer because I really loved my experience at Cal State Fullerton. I chose Cal State Fullerton because it was a local university and it was really affordable. And I was a first generation college student, so this experience was completely new to me. But little did I realize that my life would completely change by attending the university. So I met a lot of my really close friends there. I had the opportunity to participate in a lot of cool leadership clubs and organizations that really elevated my leadership skills. I was able to work on campus and kind of start my professional life there in terms of I started as a student assistant and gained some experience in the public sector and worked on staff in the facilities department. And really I was able to get a lot of good experience in the realm of politics and public policy that I decided, Cal State Fullerton has made such a huge impact in my life, and I want to be able to, help other students and connect alumni with current students because there's a lot of great alumni in the community throughout the region. So connecting those alumni with current students and really building, that partnership. That's why I wanted to join the alumni board.
Mm-hmm. And you mentioned you were a first generation student, and a lot of my friends and people I've interviewed in the past, they are first generation students. And I think Cal State Fullerton is one of the best schools for that, for being all encompassing and just allowing from anyone from any single background or wherever they come from, they can join Cal State Fullerton and be a part of a good community where we're all inclusive to people of all different backgrounds. So let's get back to your field rep job for Assemblymember Patrick O'Donnell. So I know before you were an intern for Josh Newman, right? Senator Josh Newman. So how does that work? Who do you choose to work for in the assembly crew? Like, is there applications for specific people, or do you just apply in general and they match you with someone?
Yeah, so one of the really cool things that I was able to participate during my time on campus at Cal State Fullerton is this program called the Sacramento Semester Program. And what that is a program that gathers a lot of different students from across the CSU system. So it was really cool because I was able to intern in Sacramento with students from different Cal States from throughout the state of California and intern in different offices. And a lot of those of my colleagues and students at the time, they were interning for different members. Some were interning in the executive branch. Some were interning in different capacities and within lobbying firms. But I really wanted to intern for a member that represented my community, which was at the time was Senator Josh Newman. So the way that process worked is you had to apply to these different offices once you got accepted into the program, and based on your interest and kind of your skill set, the office then decides whether or not they want to bring you in on as an intern. So it worked out for me because I had the opportunity to really gain first hands-on experience in that role as a legislative intern. I was able to staff different bills, and at the time it was really cool because Senator Newman didn't have that much staff, so I was able to really 10 briefings, report back a lot of these different issues. And that was just such a great experience. So after that, once my internship ended, I was looking for a job opportunity. And the good thing about working in California politics is it's a really well-connected realm. So it's easy if you're interested in working for a specific member. My background was in education and advocating for public higher education. So working for Assemblymember Patrick O'Donnell, who is currently the chair of the Education Committee, was perfect for my career goals, and that's kind of how I ended up there.
So there's a lot that you could do over working with an intern or as a field rep for an assembly member. So tell me a little bit about your background at Cal State Fullerton and with politics. Has it been something you've always wanted to get into, or was it something that you sort of just learned and just leaned that way after a while?
Yeah, so I actually applied to Cal State Fullerton as a psychology major. I took, psychology in high school, and I thought, I wanted to become like a psychologist, a counselor, kind of go into that realm of things. But after taking my first political science course, my professor was actually the mayor of Brea at the time, which was really cool. So he was able to gain, to provide first-hand real-world scenarios. And this was a intro to political science course, so very basic surface level things, and that really just fascinated me. And I always had like a civically minded mindset, but after taking that course with the professor, I decided, hey, I want to go more into the realm of politics and public service. So I switched my major to public administration, which is similar to political science, but it focuses on managing and like delivering public services, and working kind of with the elected officials to get that done. And what I can say about the public administration program at Cal State Fullerton is a lot of their professors were practitioners in the field, which was really cool, because I was able to learn, from these different practitioners throughout Orange County, and that really, made a huge impact on my learning experience.
I see. So tell me a little bit about the minor in human services that you took. What was like the purpose behind that?
Yeah, so I decided to minor in human services, and I thought that paired well with my major of politics and public administration, because human services, what it focuses on is like delivering services to diverse communities, whether that's immigrants and refugees. So a lot of these courses that I took included delivering services to disadvantaged communities and diverse communities, to ensure that they have adequate resources, and understanding their perspective in terms of trying to figure out what different folks' needs are. So that really helps my role even today, because I'm not sure if you're familiar with Long Beach, but Long Beach is a huge city, and it's very diverse in terms of the social economic backgrounds over there from one side of the city to the next. So understanding what the diverse needs of the community are and how to deliver those really helped, and that minor really helped in my education and in my current role today.
And you're also receiving your master's from USC for local government management. I just want to know, are all of these like degrees and minors and bachelors necessary to get into politics, or is it possible for someone like, say, me as a computer science major, if I have a change of heart right after I graduate, can I still like get into politics by interning or maybe even running for assembly member?
Yeah, so in terms of getting into politics, there's not necessarily, you don't have to, major in political science. There's a lot of even elected officials who may not have even, majored in political science, or for that matter, even have a college degree. But really, the education that you'll get from, political science helps you understand the political dynamics, because you're able to gain knowledge and information around like California government and politics, state and local politics, and try to understand, the political landscape. But it's not necessarily a requirement for political, for the politics. However, going into like the public sector and public service realm of things, such as like local government and administering services, most folks, especially in like management positions, are required to have higher education experience, because of these complex issues that deal with, delivering services to so many different, diverse communities, while also balancing like the needs of the community and understanding the needs of like the elected officials too, right? So there's a lot at play in terms of like local government and trying to deliver services.
So it is something that you can kind of pick up at home, but it is better to be in the field and get taught at a university and kind of be fed that information, so you're kind of prepared to get into the workforce.
Yeah, and what I recommend, if students aren't interested, or if they are interested in kind of learning more about politics, and is, intern with your local representative, intern with your state representative. A lot of the times I manage the district office internship program at our office. So I get a lot of students who are, who may not necessarily be interested in like political science or like politics, but they're passionate about environmental issues, which, they're closely related. So I have, those interns kind of do a lot of research around environmental legislation to see, how we can get that going. So the cool thing about political science and public policy is it covers so many different fields, that if you're interested in, the health profession, if you're interested in environmental justice, if you're interested in housing issues, politics and public policy really encompasses all of those, and you'll be able to find your fit.
That's really awesome that you're able to do quite a bit just by getting into political science. You can really branch off into a lot of different fields to work on something that you're really passionate for. Whereas in like some other fields, maybe you kind of forced to kind of stick with that area. Whereas here, you could, no matter what you're interested in, you can still get into that field from political science. So I was wondering if, since you did graduate recently, were there any requirements like having to have an internship or working at different jobs before you graduate? Because I know some other majors, they require some work experience before you're able to get your degree.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so the really cool thing about the political science and public administration program is there is a internship requirement in order to get your degree. And really that internship requirement is so valuable because you learn so much while you intern and while you engage in these different opportunities. And you're exposed to how, public policy or, political science, politics works. So I think it's really valuable that the program requires the students to intern. And I think it's a good opportunity for students just to learn about, different opportunities out there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because in a lot of fields, like you're graduating already with some experience, some background, whereas like some other schools may not require those backgrounds. So you already have like a leg up on other people, which is a nice thing to have, like getting into the workforce right after you graduate.
Especially in like politics and public service, those experiences matter.
Yeah.
They definitely matter because, other offices, other elected officials, they want to see that you're able to, work with the community. They want to see that you're able to analyze legislation. They want to see that you're capable of doing these different, tasks. And an internship is one way of proving that. And my recommendation is if you're interested in, working in politics, try to intern with a elected official that represents your values, that represents your interests. So I was interested and passionate about education, so I decided to work for, Assemblymember O'Donnell. But there's tons of other elected officials out there who, have specializations, if you will, in different policy areas. So if you're passionate about housing, if you're passionate about environmental issues, try to find a representative that, aligns with your values and intern from them.
So taking it back to Cal State Fullerton, you had a couple of jobs on campus. The first of which I believe was a student delegate for ASI. Tell me what that revolves around, being a student delegate.
Yeah, so one cool opportunity that I got to participate in at Cal State Fullerton was being a student delegate. So in partnership with CSSA, we were able to, go to Sacramento, and I represented Cal State Fullerton when we went to Sacramento. And really what we did was we advocated for the importance of investing in higher education. So during that time, I was able to meet with different elected officials and talk to them about, why it's important in investing in higher education, why it's important in investing in, the CSU system specifically, right? The CSU as a whole does so much great things in terms of producing good, qualified, candidates out there in different industries. That there's a significant return on investment. So just communicating how important it is to invest in the CSU system was kind of my main role. and representing Cal State Fullerton in Sacramento.
So it's basically like they send a couple of students over to talk to an assembly member to get like your insights as students, as people who are going to be working and contributing to the economy, to society, and just asking what you really want and like showing all of that.
And really, I always say, if you want to talk to an elected official about a specific issue, it's so good to, have that community talk to them one-on-one, right? While there are lobbyists who are paid to advocate for, different positions, what really resonates well for elected officials is, meeting with these students, meeting with the community it's going to impact, and kind of learning from them about the issue and why they should, support or oppose a specific item.
And then after that job, you kind of worked a bit in human resources and admin support. So did that kind of like prepare you for working in like an office or an office space with like other people, all working on like different tasks?
Yeah, so I got a job at Cal State Fullerton in the facilities department, and I was a student assistant at the time, and there was an available position, like an admin position that became available. So the director at the time, I helped her on a lot of different projects, and she kind of, encouraged me to apply. So I applied and got that position. So I was actually working, while going to school and kind of being involved in all these different things, as like many, Cal State Fullerton students tend to do that. But that experience really, helped because I was able to understand what it was like to be in a meeting, understand what it's like to make a professional presentation, kind of throw me in these different, experiences that really prepared me for my current role.
Yeah, and I recommend like anyone, even if they don't need the money or any requirement, working on campus is a fantastic thing. You're able to build like a good camaraderie with all of your other classmates. With maybe there's people on campus that you also work with, like higher ups, some teachers as well, and it also like gets you a little prepared for, okay, this is what it's like to be in a meeting. This is what it's like to manage my work hours. This is what it's like to talk to a superior, and maybe even sometimes you'll have someone working for you as well. So it kind of gives you that experience while still being in like a safe bubble of college where your job is, or like your life is not on the line if you kind of screw up a little bit at the job.
Yeah, I mean, I always tell students that, right? Like that's literally the best job, is to work on campus, because I mean, you're there, right? You might as well just work there too. And a lot of the times in my experience, they're really flexible in terms of like the hours, and they're understanding if a group project comes up and you have to meet at that time, which happens. So a lot of those student assistant roles are completely understanding, which is why I applied. And I think it's just a great opportunity for students who want to gain, good skill sets and also still continue their education.
And especially when it comes down to like finals or other exams, I know they're really flexible with it, and they give you time off. They let you switch your hours and work around that, which is also amazing to be able to do that. So we're back with Nick, and we're about to ask him some quick fire questions, and we just want to know his answers to all of these. And these are some pressing topics. So the first one is coffee versus tea.
Tea.
Tea. Which was better, undergrad or graduate?
I'm in my first semester of graduate school, so I'll have to say undergraduate.
Okay, let's say undergraduate. Are you an early bird or a night owl?
Night owl.
You're a night owl. Math or language arts?
Language arts. Math is awful.
Oh, you hate math? Do you prefer in-person classes or virtual classes?
Definitely in person.
Definitely in person. Are you a dog person or a cat person?
Dog.
More dog. All right. Phone calls or texts?
Text messages.
Text messages. Waffles or pancakes?
Waffles.
Waffles. iOS or Android?
iOS.
Would you rather online shop or shop in a store?
Shop in the store when it's safe to do so.
I see. Pen or pencil?
Pen.
Pen. Horror movie or a comedy movie?
Comedy.
Winter or summer?
Winter.
We're almost exactly like polar opposites.
Really?
Like maybe only like two or three we agree on, but other than that, no, these are all wrong. You answered them all wrong. But I think most people that I've interviewed answered the way you did, so I think you fared pretty well.
Okay.
So now we're going to ask a bit about students who want to get into your field, or like advice on students in general. So let's say someone who's in their like first or second year, or maybe the incoming freshmen who have never had online classes up until now. So what's some advice to like get through it and get through university?
Yeah, my advice would be don't be afraid to communicate with your professors. If you're struggling in a specific class, reach out to your professors. All of my professors at Cal State Fullerton throughout my entire program, as well as, in my general, general ed requirements, they were all very, passionate educators and really cared about, student success. So if I had, any difficulties with any subject, I would always go to the professor, and they would always, be willing to make some more time, perhaps during office hours or during a time that you're available, to get some extra clarification. Also, what helps me is, especially now, is kind of communicating with your classmates about different topics that you didn't understand, or if you're like writing a proposal, kind of throwing some ideas out there and kind of talking it out with your classmates. The really cool thing about my master's program is it's focused on like collaboration, right? So the program really require, and even in undergrad too, they require you to do a lot of like collaborating with your students, your colleagues, to make sure that you deliver the best product. So making sure that you communicate with your students and with your classmates and your professor definitely can help during these challenging times.
And then students who want to get into your field or politics, so let's say maybe outgoing senior, what's like one of the first things they should do if they don't have like prior experience, or maybe they're like super introverted and they're not really comfortable trying to go out and make friends or talk to other people, and they're kind of struggling in the sense that they're not sure what's next for them?
Yeah. So if you're in politics, and you're interested in politics, you can also jump in on a specific campaign. So campaigns are really cool because there's a lot of things that you can do, right? So you can, for those introverts who may not, want to talk to, may not want to go door knocking, to every door. They're able to, do a lot of text messages. They're able to do a lot of things on social media. They're able to like make flyers and kind of coordinate events. And that's still kind of being involved in the political process. So I would recommend, jumping in on a campaign and interning, whenever possible, whether it's for an elected official, whether it's for a community organization or nonprofit. Those experiences matter. And you'll definitely, be able to gain a lot of real world experiences.
So also I forgot to ask, you commuted to Cal State Fullerton, right, in your undergrad?
So I commuted my first year, and then after that, I lived across the way at UCA, and then lived in Brea for a bit too.
So what was like the experience switching from like commuting to school from Long Beach and then living right across the street? Were you more involved after that, or what happened after that?
Yeah, so I would recommend that. I think it's such a great experience to like live on campus or live near campus, because you're able to really engage in a lot of different opportunities that you wouldn't necessarily have the availability to if you commuted. So I was able to really participate in a lot of different leadership opportunities. I participated in the Student Leadership Institute and kind of was involved in that aspect, along with a lot of different political organizations on campus. But really, I was able to do a lot of things just because I was so close to campus. But also, living on your own during that time, you learn so much about, how to do things for yourself and how to just so much things about life. So I would always encourage, students, if they can and are able to move on campus or live really close to campus, definitely do so, because your college experience will definitely be so much better.
And did you participate in any clubs on campus or any other activities outside of work?
Yeah, so I was in ASI Lobby Corps. So that focused on, advocating for different legislation and kind of getting students involved in different, civically engaged opportunities. So I did that. I also did the Student Leadership Institute. So I was on their executive board there in like the marketing realm. So I was able to kind of recruit a lot of participants and try to get them involved in the organization. So I was involved in a lot of those different leadership aspects.
I guess ASI is like the mini government right before you get into actual government. Yeah. So I guess like for any like poli-sci student, it's easy to get involved in there. And now that I think about it, there are a lot of committees that happen on campus, whether it's like through different clubs or any like funds that we have to distribute. I just joined the IRA committee where we determine where the IRA funds go to every year. So it's very simple. Like they just send out emails, just reply to them and apply to get involved on campus into like a mini government before you move on.
Those experiences matter, right? Mm-hmm. When you go into those job interviews and you're able to talk about those experiences, that matters to different employers, especially in the realm of politics and public service. So I would encourage students, if they're able, and any opportunities that are available to be a part of, the campus community and to make those decisions, whether that's, a student organization or student leadership, try to take advantage of those opportunities.
And regarding political science, I know with like other majors, let's say if you're majoring in medical or you're majoring in computer science, the top of your field is just to get at a good job at, let's say, Google or Facebook, and for a doctor, maybe at like Kaiser or another high healthcare profession. For political science majors, is it just like everyone wants to become the president of the US, or where's like the top goal that people are satisfied with or kind of want to achieve in that field?
Yeah, so I think it really depends. There are those folks who may want to run and be an elected official themselves, and then there's those folks who want to be behind the scenes and help kind of democracy work and deliver those public services and those public goods. So depending on kind of like what your interests are, like I mentioned earlier, finding that right elected official that resonates with your values, that might be, someone's top priority. Another person's top priority may be, working for a community and eventually running to be that community's representative. So in the realm of, political science, there's a lot of different options out there. And even a lot of corporations in the private sector, they have government relations folks. So what that means is they have people who advocate for their industry. So whether that's tech, whether that's healthcare, you could work in these different private sector companies and advocate for those interests if that's something that you're interested in. So there's a lot of different pathways in the realm of political science and public administration, and working on the local level too is an option. It just really depends on what you want to do.
So there's always a role for someone, whether their face is on the billboards and on the ballots or they're behind the scenes working with those people. Just a few questions about your thoughts on your university experience. If there was something that you could do differently or you might have changed at your time in Cal State Fullerton, what would that be, if there are any things?
Yeah, I think one big change would have probably been moving onto campus a lot sooner. So, dorming my first year, I didn't have that opportunity. And I think that, your first year is so critical because it's really, that transition from, high school to college and trying to figure out the college perspective and college life. And there's a lot of really good programs and services at Cal State Fullerton, especially for, freshmen. I remember it was freshman programs at the time. I think it's called first year experience now. But that that those programs really are designed to help students kind of navigate this transition. And I think that moving on campus my first year would have been a really cool experience. And I would encourage all students to do that if they're able to do that.
And getting back into like the whole politics and how high up you can go, just wondering, what does success mean to you?
Yeah, so success for me means being able to, help a person or a community, navigate government, right? So government is so, complex to the, average citizen. Not everyone, majored in political science and knows the difference between local, state, and federal government. So really my job as a field representative is to make sure that these people understand the different levels of government and to try to deliver a service to them so that they can get their issue resolved. So even if it's not a state issue, which our office, is able to engage in, I'm able to connect that person with a federal issue if they're experiencing an issue around, immigration, since that's federal jurisdiction, or if someone wants to, complain about, a tree or a dumpster, I'm able to connect them with, their local representative to get that issue resolved. So really for me, success means being able to help, people and being able to deliver results.
And I don't see politics getting simpler or easier to understand anytime soon. Hopefully there's a way to make it easier for everyone to know who do I reach out to and what do I do later on. So there's always going to be a need for people to help guide us, because there's no way everyone can know everything there is to know about politics. That's just not feasible. So having someone to guide is a successful way to go, in my opinion. How have your goals and aspirations changed, let's say pre-college up until now?
So during college, I didn't know that I was gonna, work for an elected official. It just kind of happened. I found myself, advocating on these different issues, and it made sense for me to just, work for an elected official. And I've now worked for an elected official for 2 years, so I really got to understand, that aspect of public policy and kind of, understanding legislation from like how an idea is introduced to navigating it through the different committees, and through ultimately and hopefully if the bill becomes law. So I was able to kind of experience all of that. Now understanding all of that, I want to be able to make a bigger impact in the community. So I think my next step would be working on the local level. So whether that's city government or to try to deliver these city services to diverse communities.
So one of the last questions in this topic are your thoughts on Finish in 15. I believe that was implemented maybe your last year at Cal State Fullerton. And correct me if I'm wrong, you took 4.5 years to graduate, right?
Yeah, so I did. I actually took a bit longer than most. I actually took around like 5 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the thoughts on Finish in 15, where they want students to graduate in 4 years by taking 15 units each semester and getting their 120 units out. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so I mean, I understand how that can be, valuable to some, but in my opinion, I think your experiences on campus matter. Whether or not you're able to be engaged on campus, those opportunities matter. And, the longer you're able to participate and be engaged on campus, I don't think that's an issue in my opinion. So if it takes, longer than 4 years to graduate, but you're able to gain, a lot of hands-on experience through internships, through different leadership opportunities, through different clubs, I don't see that as a problem. But I definitely understand, how the system is encouraging, students to kind of to try to graduate in a timely manner, just because we have so much, students trying to also enter the system.
Yeah. And seeing how you did so many things in university, it seems kind of difficult to imagine like getting a minor plus getting your bachelor's and then working and interning to actually finish with 4 years only. I know personally I am taking an extra semester because just getting the minors and working on the extra classes and working as well, it kind of does take a toll on the time and the amount of units I'm able to take. So I do have those like same opinions. If you are able to finish in 15, that is great. And take those classes that you need and get out in the timely manner, like you mentioned. But if you do want to participate in the clubs and the internships and anything like that, then it's totally reasonable to take a little bit longer and just get the full college experience.
Yeah, I mean, and you don't want to be like, stressed out and overwhelmed.
Yeah.
I mean, you're a college student, everyone's going to be stressed out and overwhelmed, but you don't want to like burden yourself even more by, just for the sake of graduating in 4 years. Like, okay, if you graduate in 4 years, but you don't have any, relevant experience, what is that going to do for you after? So I think in my opinion, it isn't necessarily, a burden if you take longer than 4 years to graduate, especially if you're able to engage in a lot of those opportunities.
Yeah, it's sort of like finding the balance and not trying to overdo it, just for the sake of having that 4 year name right behind you. So to end it off, since you are really caught up in politics and you know quite a bit about it and you're doing the voter education series, are there some like quick facts or some information that we should know about, maybe that we get confused about constantly, or maybe some important dates that are coming up for the election cycle?
Yeah. So what I can say is there's going to be 2 vote centers on campus. So one at the TSU and one at the Irvine campus. So that's a really cool opportunity for not only college students, but also the Orange County community to tap into. And that resource will allow you to get a lot of information, nonpartisan information. You could check your voter registration status. It's really, a one-stop shop for all your voter needs, which is really good for college students. One recommendation that I would, add is check to see where you're registered at, right? So for those students who want to be registered, in their community back home, that's fine. It's really, a choice. Where do you want your representation to be, back home or in this new place? Do you resonate more with, the Fullerton community? Do you want do you want to participate in that particular, area to make your voice heard? So understand, where you're registered to vote at and make sure your ballot is mailed accordingly. That would be my advice.
So let's say someone, like I don't personally live in Orange County. If I do come by the TSU, am I able to drop in my ballot in a different district?
So it depends on what county you live in. So
Okay.
The Orange County Vote Center are for, the county of Orange. However, LA County has their own, vote center and vote system too. So it just really depends on what county you live in.
So it's important to make sure that you do drop off your ballot or mail in person or vote in person at your correct location. And what is the last day to like register to vote or maybe to vote in by mail to make sure it's counted?
So my understanding is there's a really cool bill in the legislature that passed that indicates that it's the same day voter registration. So students are able to, register to vote, at the, when they're ready to vote, and that can be done at the vote center. So that's an option there. So you can definitely go check out the vote center and get that situated. Ballots have actually been recently mailed this week of October 5th too. So those ballots can be, mailed or dropped off to a vote center, and you could even track your ballot too.
So to end it off, do you have any like last bits of advice for students on campus or anything of that sort?
Yeah, so my advice would be to be involved in different clubs and organizations, and don't be afraid to kind of put yourself out there to try to, learn about these different, clubs on campus. If you're passionate about, these different issues. There's a club for like everything. There's sports clubs, there's political clubs. There's a lot of different organizations too that you can be a part of. So don't be afraid to put yourself out there and go attend a meeting and see what that organization or that club is all about. And also don't be afraid to intern. Really, internships, especially in the realm of political science and public service, they matter. And wherever you're able to get an internship for, that matters, and that's a huge benefit. So try to get that internship where you can, and try to intern for someone that represents, your values.
Mm-hmm. And that could be like outside of political science too, even if you're majoring in anything else. As long as it aligns with your values, then it should be a perfect place for you to intern.
Definitely.
With that being said, I believe you are on our Titan Pro network. Is that correct?
Yes, I think so.
Yeah. So if you want to reach out to Nicholas, feel free to sign up for Titan Pro Network. It's our program that's sort of like LinkedIn, where you can connect to alumni. I believe we have over 1,000 alumni signed up. So even if you're not interested in political science, there is an alumni who majored in one of your fields. So you can ask them any questions. You can ask them about where they work, if they're willing to help out, read your resume, or anything of that sort. So go ahead and sign up for our Titan Pro Network today. And is there anything else you would like to add, Nick?
If you're not sure, who to work for, or if you want information about a specific, elected official, please feel free to reach out and use me as a resource. I'd be happy to connect you with a particular office. If you're passionate about a specific issue, I'm happy to make that connection. So that's a good thing about politics, is we're definitely a small and tight connected realm that we're able to, make these connections and get people into different positions and internship opportunities. So please feel free to reach out.
So yeah, it was great having you, and
Awesome.
I look forward to seeing you soon.
Thank you. Thank you for all your work. Appreciate it.
No problem. Have a good day.
You too.